Yes.
Hello, everyone. So, am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Hi. Today we have a session on relationships in the time of lockdown, of course. And while many of you know Sat sir and Siri ma'am, I'll just introduce briefly for those of you who don't know. Sat sir and Siri ma'am have been the pioneers of bringing NLP in India, and they have actually been fundamentally involved in transforming many lives in India and across the world. Of course, the qualifications are there: ICC, MCC, and PCC level coaches, directors of Innermost Shift coaches, Richard Bandler certified trainers, and everything else. But apart from everything, the most significant thing I think is that they actually teach from the heart. I mean, there is absolutely no doubt about it that when they are teaching, they're actually teaching right from the heart, from where, and that's why the shift, the change actually happens in everyone, right? So today, of course, we'll be talking about relationships in the time of lockdown, and whatever questions you have, please type them in the chat box, and I'll take the questions and I'll ask them. Okay, thank you. So, sir and ma'am, please.
Hello everyone, welcome to this new series of Ask Sat and Siri.
Awaz.
Okay. Am I audible? So I have to put the speaker like this. Is it better?
Yes.
Prosperity?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, yes. Hi. So sir, you're on mute.
Yes.
Okay. So welcome to all of you for this another session of series of Ask Sat and Siri, and we'll talk about relationship today. Right, sir?
Yes. So let me trigger a thought process in you to begin with. And like, if I say that, how many of you think that living a good relationship depends upon emotional match and the complementary values or complementing values to each other, and understanding perspective, supporting each other, and you can add a lot to the list. So just type in the chat box, how many of you think that the prime factor that makes relationship work? Very quickly, let me see your answers. Yes, what are the answers there? Prosperity, can you?
So everyone, at least the 3 or 4 people who have said this, yes, it's important. And Sandeep says understanding perspective and acceptance is important.
Okay. Now, that's very nice that everyone thinks that these are the prime factor. Now, the next question is that why doesn't it work? Like, why are not we able to? What stops us? My question is, okay. What stops us from being so? Despite knowing that this helps us, despite knowing that we need all this, then what stops us from being so? So just very quickly dive in. What do you think? What stops you?
Ego.
Okay.
Our me orientation. Lack of willingness and how to do it. Lack of understanding.
Okay. So then the question is that what will actually enable? What will enable you to, in fact, overcome it? If you say it's ego, if you say it is the factors that you stated like that. My question is that what do we need to experience to actually make this happen? What are your answers here? Just type down very quickly. What will it take? What's your answer here?
Accepting yourself first, being open and acceptable, avoid blame, understanding what's required, start your own self.
Good. I think everyone has good answers.
Being open.
Okay. Now, our answer is that what will actually enable us is that if we awaken as love, and that means we live as energy of love. Because we are not able to awaken as love, every reason comes in between. Despite knowing, many of you know how to change perspectives, many of you know how to complement values, many of you know that what way I can understand. So they're all at a very superficial level, at a very intellectual level. But deep within, what stops us is that we do not awaken, or we can say we don't have the ability to awaken as love and live as energy of love, that in fact we are deep down somewhere. And this is what we need. And when does it happen? Now, next question is that what will make this happen? That we are in fact that force and that energy of love, and that can make everything fall in place. What do we need for that? What's your answer here? Those of you are convinced that yes, if we awaken as love and keep love as prime force beneath every relationship, be it the time of coronavirus or a chronic virus that we are always engulfed into, that you said is the ego. And if love being the energy, we have to live as and awaken as love every single moment. Then when does this happen? What does it take to make this happen? That we are that force of love. Because deep within, if you look into, nearly every fight arises from this deep love. So what do we need to experience within? Or when will this happen? What's your answer here? Just give a very best answer.
Loving yourself and gratitude. Your values and resources, surrender to love, contentment, gratitude, and surrender.
Okay. All right. You have done your very best to give very quick answers, and they're very good ready-made answers. Now the question is, even if we have realized this gratitude or surrender to it, it requires us to discover something within. And that discovery is that we have to discover the bonding, that we are not separate. We are already connected. There is no separation existing actually. Now, intellectually saying it or proving it, rationalizing is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that until we really experience and we discover that there is a connection, there is a bonding already existing within us. My voice is echoing. So,
And now it's better.
Yes, I'm sorry. Many people were typing that no voice because there's something, you know, I'm still not getting my own voice clear. So I'm trying to sort out. See, my voice is echoing to me. I don't know why. Yeah. I think it's a little better. And in fact, I was not getting my own voice clear. It's still echoing and I don't know how to fix it up.
I think that's okay. You can go ahead. It's okay.
Okay.
It's fine.
So what I'm not asking is that we have to strengthen bonding. I'm asking is that we have to discover bonding, and we have to, this happens, the feeling of love happens when we experience a deeper connection with each other. So we try to connect each other, we discover bonding, and that's where we start feeling that energy of love that we are. Because most often we are feeling cut off and no, we are connected to the even loved one, though we love them. But that invisibility of our deep connection is not in our visibility somewhere. Is the reason that we find it very difficult to even align our values, even overcome our ego. Okay. So we all somewhere lose it. Previous slide than this. Yeah. So we start living as love and we start awakening as love when we experience connectedness and when we discover bonding, which means something which is already existing, we fail to catch it up. I want to stop here for a while and want to trigger my whole audience that even if we are a sibling, grown up together, we may be doing things together, doesn't mean that we have discovered that we are bonded and we are connected. Even if people are married for years together, it doesn't guarantee that we have discovered that we are bonded, we are connected. We think sworn by some oath or maybe by some rituals or even falling in love. Yes, we have coincidentally or by design come together. Despite everything happening, the discovery of that we are so much bonded, we are so much connected together could be missing. And then we try to live on, of course, those factors. We try to match perspectives and we even try to align values. We try to, you know, become emotionally a good match to each other. So much we do. But when this deep factor is missing, then everything that keeps happening is just conscious effort or kind of we are going through. The times we are going through, the good and bad times together, but all that doesn't mean that we have discovered we are so much one, we are so much connected. So the factor of being one, being together is missing. And that's where our whole game plan, no matter how many skills we learn, no matter how many ways we learn to align with people, no matter how much we know that, you know, we are supposed to be a member of the same team, we are a member of the same family, we are like married to each other, or we are grown up sibling together. In any relationship I'm talking about, most of you may be looking relationship only from the preview or angle of being married, because most of people have the problem with the spouses. But I'm not talking only from the spouses paradigm, I'm talking the paradigm from every person, maybe your parents, maybe as a children, then when you're living with people. So in the time when we are close to each other, we are close to each other for the reasons because we are in the same boundary wall, or we are confined now by the same COVID law ruling us, or Sometimes we are together because we are appointed in the same organization, and some were because it happened in the same community. So the reason of our being together is in fact because of some ritual, because of some ceremony, because of some oath, and because of some design, or because of some emotion, or maybe you have fallen in love doesn't mean that in fact you have awakened as love and you experience love and you have discovered the bonding and you have experienced the connectedness. Now, this is the supermost reason that when we don't live it, we don't discover it naturally, any little force just creates something within us that we don't want to experience. And then for the sake of, because we live in the same home, sake of because we are at the same place, sake of because we have no other options, so we compromise, we understand, we change perspectives, but then we don't still awaken as love. This is what I have to first say here to trigger your thoughts. And we strongly believe, and the entire talk, we want to focus on that until this is discovered, until this is lived as and experienced as this connectedness and bonding, which is in fact the truth of the existence of relationship that we have with our siblings, with our parents, with our children, with our spouses, and with our team members, with our community members. And until this happens, everything that you learn in life, maybe everything that you know or intellectualize in life or rationalize in life, just fall quite short of to make, in fact, relationship work. And that's what has to be the objective. That's what has to be journey and search of human being. Because until this happens, every other exercise is, in fact, just not a heartful effort, not a soulful effort, but it's a quite intellectual and simply a game under some rules we are playing. Now, with these inputs, that everything happens when we discover and experience these two things. What are your questions based on this input?
So we have a little change instead of them typing in the questions because a lot of echo is happening. So one by one, they can ask the question directly and then we will take it up, right? Okay.
Is it that?
Yeah, so because the voice gets echoed, so you have a little issue in the voice, right? Because
then voice will create a more problem then rather than typing.
No, they will, somebody who is there, so please, you can unmute yourself and probably, or you can put your name in the chat box and then we'll say, okay, then unmute. So we can, kind of do that. So if somebody has any question, you can ask.
I'm sorry, I am not able to listen my own voice very clearly. I don't know how I'm pulling on because I can't see on the screen many people.
No, you
Because
have to shut down your, this one. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, can you raise your hand? At least I can see them on the screen. So if somebody has a question about anything on relationship, you can raise your hand. Okay, we have Anju as the first one. Okay, Anju, you unmute and
Anju,
ask.
anybody put me a question, make sure you're not giving me a paragraph. Make sure it's a question.
Okay,
all right?
that's good.
Good.
Yes.
Yes, Anju.
So when we say that Sir has explained that love, awakening of love.
Anju, you will have to shut off your video because a lot of noise coming in. So just shut
All
off
right,
your video.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Okay.
So it is. Yeah.
So your video is still on, so we have a lot of noise coming in.
No, it's something
All right.
else.
Yeah.
fine.
So as Sir is explaining that the awakening of love could be by the best when we are best connected and bonded. Now, as a relationship coach, the coachee has to come into this state. What are the techniques and tools that a relationship coach can do to develop these two important factors in the coaching?
getting so, and yeah, it's better, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think now I'm little better. Okay.
Could you, I don't know,
Yes, yeah. You'll just repeat your question.
Yeah, so as per your lessons, that awakening of love can be best achieved when there is a good bonding and when there is a good connected state between people in any relationship that we consider. Now, as a coach, a relationship coach, uh, the relationship coach has to see that the coachee gets into this state. So what is the tools and techniques that a coach can use, a relationship coach can use to bring the coachee in this state?
Still getting some noise.
Anju, we have a lot of noise as
No,
far
no,
as I've
see,
understood. Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's
Oh.
not Anju's fault. Something is wrong. We're trying to fix it up. Okay, I think your voice is clear. Just speak it now.
That particular voice which comes is from the Anju side, because anytime she's asking question any webinars, we have that sound from her because she's in US.
Okay, you keep your mic a little away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Anju, your precise question is that you are saying that in a relation, as a relationship coach, how does a coach help the client to be in a state of bonding? That's the question.
Yeah, so what tools and techniques the coach can use to bring the coachee in this state? Because
in this state of what?
according to what we are studying now
No,
with sir,
first hold.
is,
In the state
yeah,
of what? What state are we talking about?
the state of bonding and connectedness.
Okay, so just hold here. Just hold. So Anju, just shut off your. Now it's better. So now you can answer her. So her question is that as a relationship coach, right? When you are doing this
Unfortunately, Anju, discovering the connectedness and discovering the bonding is not a technique. It's a truth. And it cannot be accomplished by any technique. Even if you want it for yourself or you want the coach to experience it, it's a question of great reflection. And not only simple, even knowing will work it. Even if I know it deeply somewhere, I have to still discover it. I have to experience it. It's an experience that person has to bring in. And that will not happen until you put a person on a reflection and the person continuously reflect upon this fundamental truth. Because truth could be however obvious, but it's so invisible that it, without experiencing it, even if I make it very, very visible, without experience, it won't happen. So if you look deep within, we are all same at the core of our existence and we are interconnected. But because we don't experience it, and even if you are coaching a person and the person is having a relationship issue, then if you ask some question that might make a person reflect upon that, why are you in this relationship? And you will find that person has woven a big story around it. Because I'm in a relationship, if it's an organization, because I got a job here, because I got to do this here. So they have all the reasons outside this discovery and this experience of connectedness. Even if they are married, just because it was my age, just because I was in love. So the reason of togetherness is not the experience of connectedness, is the prime reason that people keep suffering the whole life. So you only put people on reflection and experience that how we are in fact one. And in this moment of expansion, when the physical boundaries and intellectual boundaries drop, and that's a journey. It might happen for some people in the next moment. It might happen for some people in 1 or 2 months, and one cannot guarantee that. And in the time of challenges, when they are very close to each other, and when they are very close and they close down to each other, they shut down. they log themselves down. And then they look for counselors, coaches, mentors, rather than reflecting upon how we are in fact one. And that lack of experiencing oneness is in fact the reason for every quarrel, every conflict. So there is no technique. There is only a discovery. Reflection is the answer to it. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Is anyone else?
I welcome more questions, because this topic will hot up as you will put some more questions, and it might challenge every one of us today.
So do we have questions from anyone?
My voice is now a little better. I think I can hear better.
Hello, this is Radhakant.
Yes, Radhakant.
Actually, currently I'm interacting with one person. He's a very young chap, and he's having a relationship problem. And
Come again. I'm not here.
I'm basically just interacting one person. He's having a relationship problem, and the situation is such that he's sometimes becomes that she's right for me, and after some time he becomes like it is not right for him, and he's in indecisive mode. So how to handle this?
Okay, the ways to handle are many. You can ask them the emotional matching question. You can ask them the value matching questions. You can ask them the perspective building questions, and this can be sorted out. However, if you take a clue from the previous answers, if you ask them that what is there that they are together, and if the reason goes because we are married, because of the reason outside, and rather than we want to discover the oneness, we want to discover that how we are one. So until their search and research goes around this topic, they will continue, creating problem for each other. So how will you put them in a good reflection mode once you sort their few things using the things that you know, and then ultimately you bring them to the core of their existence, that what is the way you will discover that you have a bonding beyond this ceremony that you have gone through, beyond this oath that you have taken, beyond this appointment letter that you have taken, beyond this boundary or rules they are keeping you together. And that will be a permanent solution. The moment they will discover that oneness, connectedness, and the bonding, everything will be sorted out. And Siri, what do you say about this one? Siri.
Mic is not unmuted.
See, yes, I asked her to speak and her video is also gone. Anyway, let me take another question, and Siri will be just giving her views in a moment later, as soon as she is visible and her voice is there. Yes. Let me get more good challenging question.
So how can we get the coachee in the state of reflection? How can we help the coachee to come there? Because when we get relationship issues, we know that the clients are not in that state. And when we know that this is the state which will bring the awakening of love, so then how do we get the client in this state, in the state of reflection?
I just answered you. Removing every other reason of being together. If you make them reflect upon that, what will make you discover the bonding and the connectedness that you already have? Because as long as their focus is on every condition, every rule, every law, every ceremony that is brought together. There will be always some overruling, there will be always some violation, there will be always some differences, and every violation, every difference, every overruling will continue creating rifts, problem, conflicts between them, and you will keep sorting out. So most people we have come across, they have continuous relationship problems with anyone they meet, even over the window when they go for banking or just booking a ticket, or they have a long due conflicts with each other, are only because they are missing a point of connected and bonded, that we are the part of the same system. So removing everything and opening them to reflect on, to discover how there is already a bonding and there's a connection. That's why I said you have to discover it, not to strengthen it, because every other intervention is based on strengthening that or creating that connection. So you use techniques to create connection, to strengthen, without first discovering it.
Yeah. Hello. I'm sorry, I did not realize it was on mute, so I think I missed that, what you were saying. So I don't know if you've answered Anju's question. Is that okay? I have another question from Kishore, so can I read it? Is that okay, sir?
Yeah, read it.
Okay.
See, you keep your mic little away. I can't see your face.
Okay.
Keep your mic little away. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. No, because if I switch on my
No, it's okay.
video, it becomes too noisy. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Kishore says that how do you experience love and boundness with a specific person when the actual experience is opposite? So that's his question.
Okay.
So would you like to answer or should I answer?
Yeah, you answer.
See, first of all, Kishore, I think it's about how much that person is really valuable to you in your life. So there's a perspective of coaching, but there's a perspective of relationship when we are talking. So I'm talking purely from the perspective of relationship when we are understanding. If this person is important to you in your life, then the only thing which is coming on the way, if you've asked this question, is somewhere your own maybe fear or ego or ignorance is coming on the way, that you're not able to get that, boundness with the person or have that love. And if that person is not that important in your life, then you can take a decision and you can find out that what you need to do with your love and boundness, because somewhere in your life you are experiencing love, and if it's not happening with this person specifically, then either you're choosing not to do it, or if you drop your own internal fears and egos and start understanding the things from a perspective that we are all connected, even if we are not connected to that one particular energy or thread or whatever you may like to call it as, but you are not experiencing it within yourself. So either you have to work on yourself. So do a perspective session since you know how to do it, or ask somebody to coach you on it if that person is really important so that you understand that. But if it's love and boundedness, then love is something which cannot be generated, as Sir has said already. It has to be inner flowing, and it has to be somewhere understanding that we are all together because of some reason. And so if you can do that, probably that's my answer for this. So sir, you can give your answer.
Okay, Kishore, adding to what Siri said, I'm touching much deeper layer, and just allow your experiences drop for a moment, and with a beginner's mind, listen to the statement that all that you are experiencing in that moment are coming because we do not relate in fact to each other. We in fact compare ourselves to each other. So in the name of relating, we are comparing. In fact, the very word relationship is, I want to relate with you. When you meet new people, you find very good intellectual reason that, I live in Jaipur, you also live in Jaipur. Oh, so see how we are together. Oh, you speak Hindi, I also speak Hindi. See how we are together. So you're doing the act of relating to come closer. However, when you come close, rather than relating, you start, comparing. Naturally, then from your experiences, everything drops out. So your statement will come if one's experience is opposite. But where are the experiences coming from? By relating or by comparing? So if rather than comparing, you start relating and you continue going deeper and you find out how do you relate to yourself. Self means the truth within. Self means the core within. And how can you relate to the core of the person and not the experience of the person? And that core to core connection which already exists, and that bonding which is already present. When we miss out, in fact, all the problem arises, all the conflict arises, all the differences arises. And the idea is to, for some time, use any skill that you have. Like Siri said, use perspective, use value matching, you find out how important this is for me. However, they are today, I'm talking from the perspective, are just the scaffoldings. They are the scaffoldings to, in fact, discover the cement within me is the binding force that will make the temple of my relationship stand on its own, even if all these scaffoldings fall off or remove. So, but if we start using scaffolding as the ways of holding each other, we will land nowhere. And we'll be always in the process of refixing and finding another glue or something from the outside to support. And people, in fact, are doing that. So they are using shopping as support. They are using the, I let you do. So what I let you do, so you let me do because I let you do. So this as a glue, or because we are married, we have taken an oath as a glue, or we are committed, or a commitment as a glue. So I believe the point I'm touching today is much beyond all this. If fundamentally you experience the oneness and the connectedness, which is never extinguishing, which is never finishing, that will finish every other problem. And experiencing that connectedness and discovering that bonding will sort everything out. And it doesn't mean then the problems and differences will not arise. They will, and they have to, they must also, they should continue, but they have not to lead to the conflicts, controversies, criticism, condemnation, and complaining. So that's where we are focusing on. And when we are living very close to each other, that is the time we understand each other's stink better, filth better, and bitterness better. And in those times, nothing else but this connectedness can hold us together. I want to cite you one more example here, that when we were living very close to our master, you know that when you look people from the distance, it looks all green. When you go very close to them, you find that there are several human factors. Now we found that many people, when they came a little close to our master, they found him almost the same human being as the others, and they fell off. This disturbed them many times. However, we knew that where are we relating to our master? Where are we connected? Where are we bounded? So nothing ever, whatever was said, shown, demonstrated even, was visible even, ever mattered. And that invisible connection, that connectedness still remain, even if that physical body isn't there. So I believe that, I hope that I could build upon the answer of Siri. And it's a complete answer to you.
Okay, Kishore, if that answers your question, you can just write in the chat box. So we have another question from Sandeep. Sandeep says love is a very deep spiritual concept, but it is grossly misused and misunderstood by most. How can we explain love in a simple layman's language? Sandeep, I think something which I is quite understood and which I also understand that, love though is a very deep spiritual concept. Yes. What has happened in our age and in the age of the cinema, we all relate to love from this cinema, what people have talked, what we have seen in the movies. So love comes from that aspect for most of us. So that is why it's understood as a way of doing and as a way of giving and a way of expecting also. But if you're really talking from a deeper spiritual concept, for me, my experience is, as he sir mentioned, that being with the spiritual teacher, and love is about giving. If you really love someone, you love the person as it is. That's what my meaning is. So Varesh sir will put it onto it. And then you accept that if they are happy in something, you're allowing them to do it. And if it comes as a, part of values, if they are getting conflicted, then we can talk about the values aspect, saying that, okay, I value this and like you value this. But for me, uh, love is always about giving, and love is about that is being the unconditional part of love. What we talk about, the word is also very grossly and very majorly used. I unconditional love, but somewhere when we start doing it, we start expecting things, and when you start expecting things, and that's the time the whole, the game change, or it's like a situation arises where people cannot do what you really want. So for me, love in simple terms is if you can accept the person and allow the person to blossom, because love is your own feeling. Love is not, that you are, it's not about because of somebody else. It's a feeling which is because of you, you have it. You love, so it's your feeling. And when you really love deeply somebody or anybody around you also, it should actually help you to blossom. It should help you to really grow, because that's a feeling which helps you to grow. That is what my simple meaning of love is. Yes, sir, can talk about it. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, why do we need to explain it first of all? Why do we need to say things about it? Well, like when you say that, can you explain the taste of salt? Can you explain it? More than it, that you just experience it. Now, similarly, if you experience something, you will not be required to explain. The expression will become so natural and it will become the state of being for yourself. So, without even naming it, it's spiritual. Without naming it, it's intellectual. Just let it be. Be the experience. And I'm talking that this will arise, that love that arises from discovering the connectivity and connection you have, discovering the bonding you have. So, if you'll allow yourself to reflect on this fundamental truth and only ask a question, how am I bonded and connected beyond anything and everything that has brought me together? So I'm going one step further. She said, find a reason that we are together and a purpose that we're together. I'm asking that, forget everything else. Because anything and everything that has brought you together, anything and everything that is existing is just you have made it. But something that's predefined is already existing. You haven't made it, it's existing. We don't focus ever on that. And when you begin focusing on that, you first find that invisible connection and bonding that you have within yourself. Like the series said, that when you understand that love that you have for yourself, we don't even discover that. So that invisible connection and the bonding that you have with yourself, when you start discovering, there is no way you will miss it out. It doesn't require any explanation. It doesn't require any theory around it. You are not to explain anybody what does sweetest chocolate taste like. What does saltiest dish taste like? It is, it is. So experience can never be explained. Neither do we have to. They have to be meant to be experienced only. and the experience which are based on primitive truth of existence are inexplainable. Yet they give the deeper courage, unexplainable courage, and the unexplainable reason to be bonded, to be together, to love and to give love, to receive and to give love. That's my answer.
So I hope, Sandeep, that answers your question. So I have another question. Let me see. This is Radhakant. Radhakant said, just 1 minute, where is it? Okay, Radhakant says, if a person whom his coach is confused and not able to convince his beloved his feelings, shall a coach offer giving coaching session to his beloved to make the relationship work or come on in any conclusion? I think that's a simple answer, Radhakant. It depends on the person whom you are coaching, your client. If your client is willing and if the other person is also willing to take a session, and you understand that coaching is all about the willingness of the people, so we cannot force upon and push upon people, to get the coaching done. So I hope that answers your question. We have Mandeep. He says, can we experience bonding or love with someone who says that he or she doesn't love him or herself?
Though the question is tricky, and in fact, something that exists already is discoverable. So even if a person says or doesn't say, agree or doesn't agree, that connection and that bonding is existing already. So it is undeniable. What person is denying is the experienced person has or have from another experience that you have had or have or has or have. And what we are talking about is that when you are missing to discover that connection and bonding, naturally the experiences that you exchange with others are never satisfying, and all this happens. So if you begin by discovering and by experiencing that connectedness, in fact, the question of the other person's denial will just vanish, or your denial will just vanish.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Mandeep. So we have Anju once again. She's asking what if the opposite person does not want to be in a relationship and is very strong in the mind about that, then how it could be handled with the awareness of bondedness and connectedness that is awareness of love. Anju, for me, like I'm speaking through my experience or my thought process, and then obviously Sir can talk about it. If the other person is very strong and he does not want the relationship to happen, at least for my understanding, you can't anyway push people to have relationships. And obviously you cannot ignite in somebody's heart a feeling of love for somebody, though they might have love for it. So if I would have to answer your question, I said if you are in the awareness of love and you are feeling bonded and connected, and if the other person wants to just let go or let away, at least for me, it's that, okay, you give the space to the other person to take a decision what they want to take, right? And because for me, you cannot push people, right? So what do you have to say about this?
I have to only say one thing here, that most relationships that build on some conditionalities and build on certain rules and are built on certain needs, they often continue going through challenges. And so in that relationship, there is one of such prime factor is prevailing. In fact, so rather than relating to the things, the connection is about how the conditions or the rules have brought people together. So there will be conflicts always. And if one person even has walked with a seriousness and knows that the bonding exists and the relationship exists and the connection exists, the person will get immense creativity and power to in fact respond in a very different manner that is presently being responded. However, if the whole relationship has been built upon just merely a very like just arising need or some rule or some condition, naturally they were not looking for to discover how we are connected, and they may not ever do it, though that always exists. So it's like we are sitting on a gold mine, but not realizing gold is mine, and not even knowing there's a gold mine. So naturally, then nothing is there to search.
I think that's a wonderful metaphor, that you are sitting on a gold mine and not knowing that the gold is mine, and then obviously that's a gold mine. I hope, Anju, that answers your questions.
Yes, yes. Thank you, sir.
So Anshul, I don't know, it's a question or is it something which you're saying deep work is to know how to shift from conditional to unconditional. So do you want an answer or what do you want? Anshul, are you there? Anshul, can we hear you? You can unmute and you can talk. Okay. Okay, so until he replies, I don't know what is it.
Can
okay,
you hear me?
Yes, yeah, we can. So what is it, a question?
Yeah, I thought that is not clear. So to shift from conditional to unconditional, how is my question?
Don't put conditions.
Had it been so easy, right?
Well, often we want to make things complex and understand them.
Yeah.
But also, Anshul, I would like to really ask, and I think that's my question to all of us here, and including me and probably sir as well. But why do we have to put conditions to someone whom you really love or you're connected to? Because the moment you're putting conditions, you are asking the person to behave or act or live or respond in your own way. It's telling somebody, it's telling something like, okay, this is a tree of mangoes and it's my condition that this tree should also grow lemons. Now, I don't understand that really. So for me, conditional, yeah, okay, ask.
So my question is like, now it's an awareness, right?
Right.
Till the time I was not aware, I conditioned my mind to put condition.
Right.
Now to overcome that and get out of that, is how is the my question.
So let's see this paradigm. Anshul, you work in an organization, you have a family as well, right?
Yeah.
If they put a condition onto you, certain conditions are required, if I would like to put it as a metaphor, like a game. So there are certain rules in a game where you can play a game, otherwise it's not a game. But when it comes to people, so you think of yourself, if somebody puts a condition on Anshul, whether it's a family or the boss or the peers, that Anshul, we want you to be like this, how would you respond to it? How would you like it?
Yeah, till the time I find those conditions matching to my values,
right,
I am okay. I might respond in a manner which is aligned.
Right.
But if it is not aligned with my values, then I might not respond in a manner which would be aligned. Maybe I will quit.
Absolutely. So if it comes to your home, and if we can be so much open saying, okay, this is the way is my conditions for the people who are living in the home. It could be wife, it could be kids, parents, whoever is a part of it. So do you think if these conditions are suitable, are they matching your values? Because we have a platform at home where we can talk, if you have built that kind of space. And if everybody says, okay, these conditions are according to my values and I would love to do it, good. But if somebody says, no, I think dad or son or whatever your wife has been called, Anshul, I think this is something which is not matching with my value. And so what do you think? I don't want this condition to be. So if you can do something for yourself, then I believe you will allow the others to also do with them so that we can actually build that unconditionality.
Yeah, I get your point. I got your point.
Okay. Sir, you have something to add?
Okay. The answer I will give you is that if you say that I have conditioned my mind to put conditions, first of all, this awareness itself is a beginning. And if you question enough, how do I do it? And what way is not serving me? I think this itself will start decaying the this conditionality of conditioning yourself on your own. So a very simple thing.
Yes, I will do that. Thank you so much.
Sir, I want to ask something on conditions.
Our net went off, so is it audible?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Something on
Repeat.
conditions and not
Yeah, yeah.
conditions.
Okay, okay. Anju, you switch off your thing, huh?
Yeah.
Good, yeah, you can
I
go.
have one question. I'll just share.
I think we could not hear him because there was just the signal went off. So I don't know if you would like to repeat, sir. Because
Yeah.
yeah.
I said the first thing that when you understand that I have conditioned myself to put conditionalities, then this awareness is the first step. And then you put a question yourself that how is it you're not letting me experience what I want to experience? This question or a reflection just on it will itself start decaying the very process of conditioning yourself to put conditions. That's a very simple way.
Yes, I got that point.
Okay, okay, good, good.
Thank you
There
so
was somebody who had put on the chat because since the internet went off, so I've lost all the chat. I don't know who were the few next questions. There was somebody who was typing and
I have mentioned that I'm getting a bit confused. Like,
okay, so
what conditions are allowed in a relation, what condition not allowed? As just now you mentioned that some condition will be always there in a relationship.
So what's the question, Radhakant?
You just mentioned that there will be some conditions.
No, I said in a family. It depends. According to him, he said what that was Anshul's question. So what he mentioned that if you're working in an office, if you're living in a family, we're living in some conditions which you have put it across. It's not my or somebody's condition. It's your own conditions. It's your own value system that you live by in a house or in an organization. So in a house, if you restrict too much or if you put too many conditions which you think are right and which do not match the value system of the other people at home, then it's a conflict. So there is no conditions as what a general conditions is. The way you're living, is the way your environment, your family culture is. So it's about that. It's not a general that we have conditions to live. I've had people who have come to me where they have been very open, where they have allowed even their kids to go out and travel and explore the world at the age of 12. Where I have some families who would never send a kid of 12 years to explore the world with their friends. So people have their own set of rules, what you have formed. So if people are comfortable in those set of rules, that was an Anshul's question. So answering back to that. So he said that if it matches my value system, I feel good. But if it doesn't, then I would probably quit. So similarly, from becoming from conditional to unconditional is if something you can apply it onto yourself. And similarly, where you're at home, if you have kept an environment which is open, where you can share that this is the culture of the house, this is certain rules we have, and when the children grow up, instead of them taking up a retaliation route, if you talk to them and make them understand, and if they agree to you, good. If they don't, then you also have a space to explain your things, and then you can become more unconditional because you're making them live the way they want to live it. Okay, so it is coming from that thing. So there's
No.
So till the time that the condition is not hampering the set values, it is okay. And if it is basically hampering the limits of the person, then it is not. That's what.
Obviously that you can talk about it, no? If you restrict the children too much and they retaliate and they go out with the friends and they do something which you do not like, ultimately it's going to be, again, it doesn't become unconditional at all, a relationship. But if you give them enough space and you become unconditional and you start understanding them from the perspective values or what they really want, I think that helps the relationships to blossom, and then you can have a better bond with each other. That's my way of thought process. Sir had to say something. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So there are few conditions that prevail in a relationship. For example, there are certain conditions between husband and wife about their confidentiality, about their intimacy. and there's some set of rules that make the whole game name a relationship. The same rule may not be applicable between relationship to a child. So those rules are not the boundaries, but in fact the freedom to live that relationship in that manner. I found a very good comment somebody wrote that when you put conditions, it's like a deal. And we are not to make deals with people, but certain conditions are very natural to a relationship. And for example, giving a good food to someone you love, or giving a good time when you like to sit together, and certain rules that make that relationship, name that relationship. So those are the rules I was talking about, will always prevail and must remain sometime. Yes.
So we have a very long question. Ganesh wants to ask. He said, "Love is worship and it's selfless. If there's such a spiritual intensity that is natural feeling and cannot be implanted. The problems people face in relationships over the period is compatibility, more particularly when both people are coming from diverse backgrounds. Isn't then it's more of a conscious effort to make it work by being aware of narrowing down the differences. But the question is, how do you do it? And relationship is compatibility on emotional, intellectual, and spiritual level, but it's better said than done. So, sir, how do we handle this?"
Okay. See, there are n number of ways and techniques to generate perspectives, to understand emotionally, to match, and then keep going along. But they're all intellectual exercises, remember. And today I have touched this point several times. I'm not asking not to do them. However, everything that you do is just a scaffolding. Until you make people or you experience in that relationship that at the core of our being, I'm already connected. And you discover that and you help the person also to continuously reflect on that, it will happen. Yet before that, I want to say that most of the time these conditions that you are stating to me arise only when because of some conditionality you are entering into a relationship, but not discovering the bonding, or to discover the bonding that we are entering into a relationship. So because question seems to be coming from mostly a spouse paradigm, and I want to state here something. Just permit me to speak something from my religion, that in our religion, when people marry to each other, in fact, they don't marry to each other. The whole verses are not about that you will take care of me, I will take care of you, you will bring your income home, I will bring this, so I will remain very open to you. So there are no conditions to each other. The marriage that time is an opportunity to discover the relationship both have with the divine. So that's the true meaning of the marriage, and that's called not marriage, that's called Anandakaraj. That means Anandam, that supreme, not the sex Anandam, that Anandam is the we are now going to discover together. So it's not the purpose of relationship, in fact. It is to discover this truth, and we are supporting each other to discover this truth. So I am supporting you to this truth, I am supporting myself to this truth, you are supporting me to this truth. And then the deeper meaning of that is that now we are becoming the co-creator to create in unison with the divine, the more of humanity, the generations to come. And let this be that co-creative, coexisting task to nurture the humanity and to create the humanity. And then there are very many verses that whose mother knows not this truth, let that mother even not conceive. So, because the one who will not bring this next generation based on discovery of this truth of so much of connection and bonding already with the divine, possibly may not bring. So it is how.
I think that's a very deeper aspect. I really appreciate that. Is this, who was this? Yeah, we had, okay, Ganesh, can you hear me? Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay, sorry, okay. So Ganesh, see, that is absolutely a deeper aspect and spiritual aspect, since you mentioned in relationship is compatibility on all the levels. And if you really keep that thought in mind, probably, you know, it can really take us to the next level. And for me, when we are talking of that, when two people are coming from diverse backgrounds, yes, it's a conscious effort that we have to understand each other. And so the idea is not to narrow down the differences, you know, Ganesh, and for everybody else. The idea is the one word which we have learned, you know, in ourselves and as a part of some of the people who are coaches and who have learned, the biggest part is being curious. If you remain curious in your life about the other person, and you do not put your thoughts, you do not put, you know, kind of the way you expect the person to behave, you don't do that with the person, I think the relationships can blossom to a very beautiful, it can be a very beautiful flowering process. Because when the flower is blossoming, even as, let's say, you have grown a plant in your house, so you do not expect the flower to blossom your way. It blossoms and you remain curious at how this flower is blossom, how the petals are opening, if you have seen that ever. So if you can live a relationship, if it's a husband and wife relationship you're talking of, or whatever relationship you're talking of, if we can allow them to blossom, and we can remain curious enough to understand what is there in this person which is different from me. I am like this and this person is like this. So you cannot probably, you know, do away with the differences. They will remain because we are different. Each human being is born different. You behave different, you see different, you hear different. We are all different human beings. So for me, that's my understanding. There's no point of narrowing down the differences. But yes, if you understand the difference, I think it can help us to live a much better relationship. And it can help us to build that bond because we are letting them to blossom as they are. That was be my thought on this.
I think you gave a very beautiful answer. There cannot be any more beautiful answer than this, though the beauty is unexplainable all the time.
So I hope, Ganesh, that answers your question. Okay, do we have time to prosperity? Okay, one question I would like to take, which is really relevant. So Deepa has, this is, I see old fears awakening in people due to this lockdown and the COVID fear also. So what is the best way to help them rise above all fears?
Okay. I think my answers were built around discovering that which is already existing. Though I didn't mention the name of this, whatever is existing, is not required to be. And I only said that when we are close enough to each other, that is time we close down to each other. And because certain conditions become our expectations and our trading points. And if rather than that, if we sum up few of the answers, starting from the last answer that he gave, that being curious for whatever the difference arises, and adding to that, that discovering that how in fact there is no difference. In fact, we are so bonded, we are so one with each other. Because my answer here is also that if we deep down, we look into the fundamental fact that we all fear in the same manner. We all feel powerful also in the same manner. We also feel doubtful in the same manner. We also get confused in the same manner. So basically, in the one deeper layer, our all experiences are same, only our expressions are different. And when we express differently, that is where the difference arises. So if we just understand the expressional difference, then it is this time or that time. and we discover the connectivity we have with each other, that will solve every issue, including what you have asked. Say what you have to say about this.
Yeah, I think that's something which is very true. You know, it's like if we understand things from their perspective. I think difference is the beauty of life. So I think that's what it is. So, you know, I always tell that, give an example to people that, you know, when, for example, let's say if today everybody wears a, you know, turban, how will the world look like? If everybody goes bald, how will the world look like? If everybody wears white because we wear white, how will the world look like? So if we understand and appreciate the differences, that this difference is the beauty of nature. This difference is the beauty of a relationship. You know, it's like, sir, we always talk an example, and sir always give an example. I would like to just quote for all of you that, you know, let's say if you're married and if you have a wife and you say, okay, look, I want to do this today. And she says, yeah, go ahead and do it. Yeah, I think I would like to go and invest in, you know, shares. She says, yeah, go ahead and do it. I'm thinking I should go and, you know, take a house. So she says, yeah, okay, I'll just go ahead and do it. How would that relationship be? You know, probably you will get bored because there's no friction, there's no opposite thing which is coming to you. And the moment somebody gives a different view, I think it makes it more beautiful because you can think from that different perspective then, right? So that's my thought process with it. So we have maybe time for one or two more questions if you have. Otherwise, we will conclude.
The differences is not like a expectation.
Sorry?
Just to basically connecting question to this.
Yes, Radhakan.
Differences which you mentioned is not just like expectations, which we say that in a relationship there should not be any expectations.
No, difference is not expectations. Difference is not expecting the person to do what you're doing, but understanding that this person is like this. If two people bond in a relationship of a marriage, or if whatever you call as a love relationship, then you're coming from two different experiences of life. You're coming from two different families, two different cultures. So how come is it possible that when you expect the other person will behave like that? So they are not conditions, they are not expectations. Expectation is when you are saying, okay, this is my way and you should do my way. Then it's expectation. And if the person doesn't do it, then it becomes much of a non-loving environment, or whatever you can call it as. So the difference is knowing that this person is different. So again, a metaphor Radhakan, probably you'll understand very quickly. Knowing that I am a rose, but I've married to a marigold. Now, how can the marigold become a rose? So if you understand this marigold looks beautiful because it has got orange shade, it has got more petals, it really blossoms in the sun and it is wonderful. And if the other person understands this person is like a rose, the beautiful petals, maybe less of petals, but very beautiful, the texture is very good. So then that's understanding the difference. And if we remain with that, the understanding the difference, I think makes a lot of sense to be more curious, and then probably we can have a much stronger bond because you're allowing the person to be what the other person is.
Thank you so very much. Beautifully answered.
And adding to that and adding more beauty to that is that the difference is the beauty of existence. Every leaf is different. Every strand of hair is different. Whole word is different. And that's what is in fact the beauty. So do not see them as a difference. See them as a beauty of existence. And that's the core truth of existence. That's what makes the world of different shades, of different contrasts and different backgrounds. Like you see the clouds and there are different shades. That makes the whole sky look very beautiful. That makes the tree look beautiful. Though it's a green, but every shade of green is different on every single leaf. And you look closely, then every leaf has so much difference on it. So in fact, this is called Satyam Shivam Sundaram, that the truth of the existence of difference is the beauty of creation. Satyam Shivam Sundaram.
So I would, if you have no more questions, then I think one thing which I would like to say, and then sir can end with that, you know, if all of us can really think, and which is also probably a truer aspect of our life, that we are actually all living like we are living in a movie, right? And wherever you are, so think a movie director who has, let's say it's a movie running off your house, and there's a person who's directed the movie and he's given a perfect role to one of you, perfect role to your wife, perfect role to your kids, and perfect role to your parents, and they're doing their perfect roles, right? And in between, you tell the director, no, this is not I'm going to do this, I'm going to expect this from I will say this dialogue because I want my wife to behave like this. So it goes, the director says, no, cut. This is not the role you are given. You are given these lines, you have to speak these lines. So just to understand from this metaphor that if you can understand that this life we are living like a movie and you have a perfect part to play, and the other person is also playing a perfect part. And if we interfere in that part, it's not a perfect movie. And also, if you do not want the conditions to be applied on you where you are feeling suffocated, I know it's a little strong word which I'm going to use. I think you have no right to put the conditions on the other person where the other person feels suffocated. If you can allow yourself to do your role well and appreciate the other's role well, and in that, if there's a misunderstanding, for me, my biggest learning which I've learned from so many spiritual teachers, is talk it out. It's very easy to understand things when people talk. And if you touch that heart of a person with your heart, people will speak. Because all of you have becoming coaches, and many of you are even as becoming professional coaches. You have understood that as a coach, rather as a human being, if you stop judging people, I think you can really create an amazing relationship, an amazing bond. And then the true love will exist. Because if you see the other person blossoming in a way they want to, it will be the best ever gift you can give it to them and to your own self. That's my understanding about it.
May I little put in, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, Brigadier.
Ma'am, well, I think it is just I'm explaining my own viewpoint at it. I think relationship, when you look at, we have to see, once we see holistically, even if you're moving in a road and
Your
driving.
voice is too loud. You'll have to go a little away from the speaker because it's becoming too loud. Yeah.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, what I'm saying that relationship, when we even when we see holistically, even when we are driving on the road, suppose, and certain issues take place, overtaking here and there, or certain, our response immediately. Sometimes we respond in a manner. Sometimes we very pleasantly see that maybe that guy must be like this. This is one facet. Second is that when we are feeling something problematic in our own body, maybe in one my arm starts paining. So what happens that I immediately do some action or do some communication with that to probably correct that. So there is an internal relationship also existing, but there are certain category of relationship probably we are talking here, which feels to be constrained, confined, or boundaried by certain issues. Maybe in our family, in our certain relation, because there is some expectations of that. I think when we apply the same yardstick of seeing that what you are saying, ma'am, that blissfulness and the love or the beauty, I think I'm looking at that and communicating that perspective, I think becomes much better. And I think it applies. I think Delhi's, when we see and experience it, I think this is my take from the last 5-6 months. I think I have moderated and modified myself in thinking like this. I start seeing it. I think there is a lot of change into me that I started saying, otherwise I used to get agitated in a lot of issues. And I started seeing that, come on, okay, that guy must have laughed at it, and I said, okay, probably I think he must have done. Or within our family, I think there is a lot of things which we have corrected on that. Okay, good enough, yeah, it's okay. That space has been given, and I think that's the beauty of that relationship at TPX. I thought I must share that. I think it exists.
Thank you so much, Brigadier. Thank you so much. I think it was a wonderful, wonderful session. So where we have prosperity, are you there?
Okay.
Okay. So I think if you have any further questions, we can do it on the mail. But thank you so much, all of you, for being there. I think it was a wonderful session, good questions, and so look forward for the next Monday. Everyone, thank you, sir.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.